Welcome, Sinner. Good to have you. All right. Okay, so we are ready, guys. So let's just go ahead and jump into things. Welcome everybody who is here. Let's see, Apps T1, Pandu Ultra, Timpec, Sinner. Welcome, thanks for being here. And happy Spooktober. So as a reminder, please join us this Friday for our next Sphere quiz, where you can test your crypto and Sphere knowledge for a chance to receive Sphere token prizes for first, second, and third place. Please check the community events in Discord for more information. And quizzes are currently running every Friday, so best of luck. Next, I did want to do a bit of a review. Confirm it's working. Thank you, Pandu. I did want to do a bit of a review of last week's AMA. Thanks to yours truly dropping the ball on recording Pandu's voice. So, as a quick review, Sim and Pandu did attend ETH Milan and were able to establish several promising connections and potential collaborations, which will be officially announced once confirmed. There are new Dyson vaults that will be introduced progressively over time. That is something that we want to do and build. We have been working on the development of a new product, which is now dubbed MoSphere, which will significantly enhance our ecosystem's efficiency from multiple perspectives and will ensure full ecosystem compatibility. We have changed the way our Engage rewards work on Discord to better improve engagement based on our analytics, and will continue to assess how to best utilize the Engage system over time, and we certainly do appreciate your feedback as well. The long-term vision of Sphere remains the same, which is to generate long-term yield for the ecosystem and for Spherians. So all of the pieces that we are putting together are directed towards that. And given our focus on Prion v2, the new protocol MoSphere, and the Sphere tokenomics upgrade, aka vSphere, the Sphere tokenomics upgrade has been temporarily deprioritized. That's what I meant to say with that. But we are committed to completing this upgrade. We just need to focus on Prion v2 and MoSphere. So with vSphere, or the Sphere tokenomics upgrade, it is possible that we will not require a Sphere v3 or vEsphere in the future. But that is all still to be determined and to be finalized. So really the next steps for the ecosystem, as we've discussed before, include the new protocol MoSphere, Prion v2, the Sphere tokenomics upgrade, as well as Dyson v2. And ultimately, we want to build financial instruments that give access to all levels of DeFi expertise so that there is something for everyone. So let me take a quick pause there. Were there any questions from that previous AMA about those updates before I push into the AMA questions for this session? Tentative order of planned releases. Oh, yeah. So Sinner, the tentative order of planned releases would be MoSphere, Prion v2, Tokenomics upgrade, and then Dyson v2. That, of course, is subject to change based on what makes the most sense as things progress. Yeah, Pandu. Many different names for it. I had to go with Mosphere, but I suppose we can call it whatever we like. You are welcome, Sinner. Pandu may have additional comments on that as well. We shall see. Yes, Triz. Let me jump into your question because I did see that in the AMA questions. So thanks for the post here as well. Why doesn't Dyson have more pools? We can easily add more pools on it, yet we aren't doing anything about it. Why can't we just add popular beefy pools with lower fees? It makes no sense in delaying it. So new Dyson vaults will be introduced progressively over time. And just because it is possible to add a vault does not necessarily mean that we should, as there are often other factors involved in vault creation, such as collaborating with the underlying platforms and projects involved with that vault or in that vault. So at the end of the day, yes, new Dyson vaults will be introduced progressively over time. And as many things, these types of things are a work in progress, and sometimes other things delay those updates that may be outside of our control. And expanding into your question, Sinner, about the tentative order of releases, Mosphere and Prion V2 could swap places based on how fast certain collaborations are completed. All right. Pandu's still typing, but... Oh, well, there we go. Yes, good point as well. Expanding into your question, Triz, in terms of expanding Dyson. Dyson is its own thing, right? It's not supposed to be a fork of Beefy. It's in a very important infrastructure point within our ecosystem. But it's not just going to be meant for these types of vaults and pools. There's more to what Dyson will be for the ecosystem, especially once we have all the other ecosystem components out in place. But we are able to have low fees on Dyson because it's just one part of the ecosystem. We don't rely on it for ecosystem yield, and we like being able to offer that for users. But again, there's multiple reasons as to why we aren't just pushing out vaults on Dyson. There needs to be a reason for those vaults, and especially once the ecosystem is more in place, I think you'll be able to see better why we would say that. All right. Next question, and someone was referring to a previous question that they had just checked in and saw it and had asked, are we still alive? What exactly are we doing now? And when we made proper money. So yes, please jump back to the start of this AMA for a quick recap on the most recent updates within the ecosystem. You can also check our community notes section. There's a lot of updates there as well, more details about that. And we certainly are still alive and providing yield for YL Spherians. And thank you and shout out to YL NYAAA for responding to that question. All right, let me just finish up from AMA questions and then I'll get to your question, Kako. Because the next question in AMA questions was a marketing biz dev outreach to discuss a potential collaboration. Thank you to Oxy for responding to that. And just to mention, in general, if there are any teams, projects, platforms, individuals who are interested in a potential collaboration with Sphere or Prion or Dyson or any part of the ecosystem, the best way to contact us is to create a support ticket on the Sphere Discord at hashtag submit ticket under marketing and biz dev within that. So just wanted to mention that, finish up with the AMA questions, And now, let's see here in AMA chat, Kako. All right, could you talk about this, please? Given our current focus on Prion and the upcoming product launch, the Sphere tokenomics upgrade has been temporarily deprioritized. While we are committed to complete the upgrade, its process or progress is influenced by various third-party factors beyond internal code development. It will be addressed following the releases of Prion v2 and the new product. Additionally, we're exploring the possibility of making Sphere cross-chain to introduce new utilities, though this will not constitute the full tokenomics upgrade. Yes, indeed. So, I guess, do you have any particular questions about that? Basically, what we are saying is, we had talked about a Sphere tokenomics upgrade to include vSphere, not vEsphere, which would be Sphere v3, but vSphere. And that upgrade has been put on hold as we are continuing to work on Prion v2, as well as the new product within the ecosystem, which has gotten many different nicknames at this point. I think I'll just keep referring to it as the new product. So ultimately, what we want to do is establish the core ecosystem of Sphere, which we have been working towards for quite a long time now, before it would then make sense to upgrade the Sphere tokenomics. Outside of that, we're also exploring the new possibility of making Sphere cross-chains, the Sphere token itself cross-chain, but that is outside of the full tokenomics upgrade. We have not announced what that new product is. We've talked about it in various different ways. We've remained somewhat vague on it for various reasons. So that is yet to be announced what that product is. But at the end of the day, the whole point of that new product is to enhance the efficiency of the ecosystem, as well as the compatibility, to ensure compatibility across the Sphere ecosystem. It's not a fork of Beefy, I understand, but having Triz with regards to Dyson, not a fork of Beefy, but having more revenue wouldn't hurt. So all the stable pools, specific reason to have. Yeah, more or less. If we're able to talk with the underlying protocols and they're willing to co-market with us, those are very good reasons to launch those vaults. Beyond that, and it's kind of tough to go into more detail outside of saying that the goal of Dyson is to have it be a main point of infrastructure within the ecosystem. And so introducing vaults that we don't necessarily see as having a role in that ecosystem may not necessarily be worthwhile to our time. And outside of that, we want to be collaborative with other protocols, and simply, creating a whole bunch of different auto-compounding vaults is not really the focus of Dyson. And sometimes it's not in the best interest of those underlying protocols. And even outside of that too, if we want to co-market with those protocols, there may be discussions that need to be had within that, and that can take time. So I know it's a bit convoluted, but ultimately it's a little more complicated than simply saying like, hey, this is possible, why don't we do it? Yeah, as Pandu's pointing, yes, thank you T1 for response. That's perfect. Another point Pandu's making with respect to Dyson and adding new pools is that the actual revenue that Dyson's able to make from TVL with the performance fees is quite low. And again, Dyson has these low performance fees because we want to have very competitive performance fees. We want you guys to have low fees. for farming. And also, we are able to, as an ecosystem, utilize multiple different strategies for yield, so we don't have to rely on high performance fees or have to rely on solely Dyson for that yield. Neo Viper off-topic question: are you familiar with Dyson Sphere program, the game? Recently found out about it and love it. No, I am not. Why so many stable pools with such low TVLs, or reason to keep them? There may be reasons to keep them. Outside of that, and certainly when they were introduced during the more intensity of the bear market, it made a lot of sense to do stable pools because that was catching a lot of interest at the time. It's also a way to encourage the utilization of the Star USDC pool as well by introducing other stablecoin vaults. And right, the gist of it being that Dyson is not a fork of Beefy. We don't want to just create all these different vaults for the simple purpose of creating them and hoping for the best. The point of Dyson is to have it as a key infrastructure piece within the ecosystem. And again, it's a little difficult to fully articulate that and provide solid examples of that at this point in time. But again, just restating that it's an infrastructure piece, so it has a specific purpose. And right, as Pandu's kind of echoing, at the time of those, when all of those vaults were created within Dyson, the stable vaults were of the most interest within Aerodrome, and so that's why we utilize those. We want these things to have their functionalities as we are building out the core ecosystem. We don't want these things to just be sitting there, not functional. So it's good to have these different vaults available for people. And again, it's kind of difficult without going too much into detail, but Dyson has a role to fulfill as an infrastructure piece within the full extent of the ecosystem once that is fully fledged out. And by that I mean the new product, Prion V2, and so forth. Right, which then brings out the availability to push Dyson into its V2. No. So Dyson V2 will still have vaults. It's just the way that those vaults will be integrated into the ecosystem will be different. All right, Kako, what I would like to know is if Sphere will stay a way for holders to benefit from all this new project's revenues, and for the time being, the only way to get something for Sphere holders is through Dyson Locker, and that won't change in the near future. Yeah, more or less correct. Sphere will always be the center of the ecosystem, so all of the revenue from the ecosystem and subsequent protocols of Sphere is still going to get funneled to Sphere. That's the reason behind the ecosystem. That's why it's being built out. So the simplest way to get involved with the ecosystem, to have exposure to the entire ecosystem, is through YL Sphere. And right now that is correct through the Dyson Locker YL Sphere. And now this is where the Sphere tokenomics upgrade comes into play, where at some point down the road, we will be upgrading the Sphere tokenomics to include vSphere, which will be a change to the Sphere tokenomics, but the overall concept will still be the same, whereby Sphere is still going to be, the center place of the ecosystem, receiving yield from the ecosystem. Yeah, so Triz kind of talked about this a little bit, but essentially the two primary focuses right now are the new product and Prion V2. And whether or not one will be delivered first over another kind of depends on some external factors, some in our control, some out of our control. So it's hard to know exactly which one will be completely delivered first. Good questions. Good questions. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, and I think people like Rux think about these types of things all the time. It's like, not necessarily what's going to provide X, Y, or Z yield now, but what is going to provide the most robust yield in totality, or what's going to provide the most yield in the future, in the long term. So those types of questions always have to be considered. Risks and rewards always have to be considered as well. And just to give an example of like Dyson vaults, something that we have mentioned before in terms of infrastructure would be utilizing Dyson for collateral vaults, especially as we onboard more complex and interesting collateral types for Prion. Yes, Sim is very much still in Sphere, still involved in Sphere. Sim went with Pandu to ETH Milan as well. So yes, absolutely. Did that make sense, Triz, what I meant about collateral vaults? So for example, creating a vault on Dyson that can then be used as collateral in Prion. So that is a good example of the type of infrastructure we're looking for and building. All right. Pandu, always a pleasure. I still see Triz typing, so we'll give a pause. But in the meantime, does anyone else have any other questions? I'll also take this time as a reminder for folks to check any VE tokens that they have, utilize it for voting, so they can get their bribe incentives. If you have any YL Sphere locked, please be sure to check in on it. Make sure if you need to either withdraw or relock it. When's the new song coming out? Have not been working on a new song. I'm sorry, T1. New due to past, not delivering, timeline, completed, fully delivered before end of year, or at least somewhat close. I am really not in a position to give ETAs or timelines. Unfortunately, perhaps Pandu may or may not bless us, but I cannot answer when questions, unfortunately. Sometimes these things depend on factors outside of our control, which is another reason why sticking to specific schedules or providing specific dates is very challenging. There you go. So thank you, Pandu, for providing some guidance on that. Some things will be launched before end of year, but with respect to which ones, when, or how, we shall see. And yes. And again, that's sometimes challenging just with respect to external factors. Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. Any last questions before we close off for today? I will also say that if anyone does have any other questions once we close off, you're always, of course, welcome to drop them in AMA questions. Please also drop them if you'd like in our different chats. We have a lot of really great community members who are always very helpful, as well as our team, always willing to help out. If you need any support, open a support ticket. And my goodness, please be diligent nowadays with just everything. So many Discord servers are getting hacked, so many scams occurring and attempted scams. So please be very diligent. If something seems too good to be true, or odd or off, then it probably is. Don't make any quick decisions or click on any unknown links. Please double check sources and proceed with caution. No updated public roadmap per se, but all in all, roadmap hasn't changed too significantly. For example, with respect to the roadmap of new product and or Prion V2, Sphere Tokenomics upgrade, Dyson V2, and continuing out that core ecosystem from that point. Oh, we certainly are, Triz. So if there are things that require or are dependent on external things, why can't we first focus on what we can do without external help, such as tokenomics update? Well, first off, the tokenomics update would be best after the launch of the new product and Prion V2. So, those things are integrated, but we certainly are doing, working every day, every week on the things we are able to work on. Just sometimes you hit roadblocks or pauses based on different things that may or may not come up. Some of those things being external. Yes, we have T1 talked about internally as well, getting more updates in community notes. It just depends on, what type of information becomes available and when things become ready to be announced. But we have been having that discussion internally as well. Thanks for the reminder on that, Pandu. With the tokenomics upgrade as well, we do have to audit. And so audits are a lot of money. And with the launch of these other tokens, with the launches of these other protocols, the tokenomics upgrade would have to be changed again. another audit, so it's just not, it just doesn't make sense. That's another reason why it's been deprioritized behind the new product and pre-env 2. Yeah. And then another reason for that pause also with the tokenomics upgrade is once these other pieces are in place and we can then do the tokenomics upgrade based on those, then that allows us to have the possibility of not needing a Sphere v3 in the future. How many devs are working at Sphere ATM? I'm actually not fully certain. Pandu knows all, so he might be able to fill in. There you go. So 3 blockchain, 3 front end. Both Pandu and Triz still typing, so we'll give them a little bit more time. All right, some more on that. Each one of the blockchain devs focus on their own product that they're in charge of, and Sim is managing them while also doing many other things, including Sim in those numbers. Sim does a little and a lot of everything. Sim is still very much as involved as he was prior. It's just now internally versus people seeing that externally. Will Sim do an AMA soon? You know, I've discussed that with him. That's TBD. No promises. That's a perfect clarification, Bandu. Yeah. Well, frankly, that's why I'm here. You know, that's why we have other team members doing different roles, so that Sim can focus on what he does best. All right. I think, yeah, exactly. Give it a couple more minutes here, and then I think we will finish off. Batarang, is the new product going to be Sears version of a 3.3 DEX? That is a good guess. Pandu, Badrag, and Triz still typing. Co-founder Dan still doing well. Yeah, DVK. Exactly. Still Danning. Yeah, I know. It has come up a lot in the past. I guess it was only a matter of time before it came up again about people wanting to hear directly from Sim. Um, And I guess just echoing from things we've said in the past, we want Sphere as a whole to be seen as, you know, a kind of, seen as a project, seen as, the all of the work behind it, not just from one person. So we've tried to separate that and separate sim from being just the primary identification with Sphere in the ecosystem. So again, it's not something that we can promise. It's still to be determined. Like I mentioned, I have talked. We have talked about that before. It's just not something that is set in stone right now, and it's not something we can promise. Can you elaborate? Getting early, funds ahead of launch. Follow-up question: New product have its own token? Um, I really can't say. These are things that are yet to be announced. So it is not my place to say. Um, all that we can do is speculate. All right. I would say just a couple more minutes here, and then I think we will close things off. Right. So, as Pandu's saying, we really can't give info until the time is right. Um, but we are interested in certainly hearing what types of what people think that the new product would be, um, and we do believe people can piece it together. Right. It's challenging answering questions about the new product because it's just not ready for it to be announced yet. So we really can't discuss the details of it. But we really do appreciate your curiosity. We appreciate that you're thinking about what it could be. We're excited to hear what you think it can be, and how you think it may integrate with the rest of the ecosystem. That's one way of saying it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not up to most of us. It's how can I say this? If it's not ready to be announced, it's not ready to be announced. That's about all I can say. After 30 months of wait, can't give any timelines. I know that's frustrating, Srini. I definitely feel you. Even being part of the team, at times I can experience that impatience of like, man, I just wish these things could launch. So I feel you. I definitely understand that. It is hard. I think the good thing about Sphere, but also the challenging thing about the ecosystem is that we are building these things ourselves because that is how we know things could be most efficient and most compatible. But the problem with that is it takes a lot of time, and not just on the week scale, but on the months to year scale. So it does require a lot of patience internally and externally from you guys, and we really do appreciate it. I know it's not easy. Any updates on reports? What is it? Yeah, yeah. Rux is almost done finalizing. Um, what is it? Q2 and Q3 are being combined. Yes, so Q2, Q3 reports being merged. The goal for that is mid-October. And I know we're there, so it is close. All right. We'll take a few more questions. And then close things off for today. Can you say if Syrexism has increased profitability, increased staffing costs? Um, the staffing costs were worked down, especially during the bear market, quite substantially. I've not seen the numbers myself. I'm also waiting as well as you, so can't say necessarily. But yeah, as Pandu had said, staff costs have gone down. Any reasons why the reports take this long to compile? I think the best way to respond to that is to say once you see it, you should have a good idea why. I think Rux puts a lot of really quality work into those reports. Please get a song for when the new product is launched. Oh, T1. T1, what are we gonna do? Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Well, I think I will end things off there. But this has been a really good discussion. At the end of the day, I just have to say I do appreciate everyone's patience and support. I know, like I said, it is not easy to just kind of sit and twiddle your thumbs and wait. But the reality is that some of these things can take a long time. You know, again, not on a week's perspective, but on a month's perspective. So again, we just appreciate your patience on that. Right. It's a lot of information to go through. You're welcome. And yes, a big thank you to everyone who came out for today's AMA. We will be back in a couple of weeks, of course. But like I mentioned, please drop any additional questions in AMA questions or in the different chats. We'll be happy to respond, to get to them. Always remember that you matter, of course, for who you are. And yeah, we will see you guys next time. Great, thanks, Fandu. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.